Hey guys,
Hey, Benoit, how's it going?
very good, very good. We have half of Redline here.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, obviously you're in Orlando, so you're in your house. Tell us how you are and how you've been doing.
Things are going well. My day job is working for the Orlando Magic, the basketball team, and our season has been suspended since mid-March. Uh, Thankfully, unlike a lot of other sports organizations, uh, we at the Magic haven't suffered any uh, work stoppage for our staff, which I realize we're incredibly lucky for that to be the case. Um, Other than that, like I don't know. I think I try to keep a perspective of just like so many people in this country or even around the world have a quarantine situation that is much worse than mine and ours.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, like can't complain. Things, yeah. How about you, Charlie?
Yeah. I've been I teach at Valdosta State University, so we finished the semester out online. So I did that wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, and then I've been teaching one class in our summer semester, and that wraps up this week. So fortunately, I've just been able to use the house here to teach online and kind of try to keep that going as best as I can. But
Yeah, obviously, music, is a little bit different. The teaching online is great, but there's some things you can't do. You can't do ensembles. You can't. There's things you can do. Like you're a tuba player, right?
yeah.
And so you need a little bit of a space if you're gonna have any. And then your student also needs, like, if your student lives in like a closet, it's gonna be tough, to play and to relate to music when you don't have a room.
Yeah, one of the reasons that that I invited Charlie down is that he, told us in a group message with the quartet, he's like, oh, well, I'm not going to stay here in my apartment in Valdosta because it's, like hard to practice and, carry out all the teaching duties and all that. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, well, like actually I would love to have someone to, stay with me so that like, it's not just this period of intense isolation. So, it kind of worked out really well.
Yeah, like you said, like I need to figure out the space that works for me. But in my teaching, it's been troubleshooting for students who are home with their parents or in their apartments. Like, what space is going to work? Someone was playing in their garage. There are people that have to play like out on their back porch, things like that. Just trying to figure out what works so that we can get some semblance of sound and yeah, any kind of quality to kind of try to get
Right. And technologically also, of course, like even if you have a good room, if you play tuba into like a computer microphone, it's gonna be tough to really evaluate what this really sounds like, because our world is not really meant for high-end audio. The online world is not. I mean, you cannot find a video hosting platform that has PCM audio. Like, it's not possible.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know of any. And so, I mean, you can download high resolution, like on whatever it's called now, Apple Music or whatever.
Right.
I think you can still do that. Like, I remember uploading 24-bit, like high resolution audio, but essentially 99.9% of audio online just is very basic and basically sucks. Like,
Right. We've actually talked a bit about that because while Charlie's been here, I guess I can't divulge the 100% of the news yet, but
Right.
but Charlie's been going through some faculty job search kind of interview process, and like having to record examples of his playing and things like that. So like even just for me, like participating in enough of these conference calls, I do some work with Winter Park High School in the area with the band, and so even just for that purpose, like we're talking to you through this Yeti mic right now, right? And Charlie did some digging into also just like audio solutions generally, and thinking about this problem of like, well, how should I structure my interview materials if I don't want to have to play live over a stream, like all those kinds of things.
I completely empathize because I'm dealing with online, like strictly online stuff now. And like, I remember, every concert we had, I used to produce a DVD. And the DVD, like, it's 480p, like the image is not good compared even to streaming, which is 720p most of the time. And
Right.
so but the audio was 2448 PCM, much
Right.
better quality than AAC at, the default is like whatever it is, 128 kbps.
Yeah, I
Like
think that's right.
I actually use 256. That's the high for streaming. That's the highest you could do. For uploading, I render my videos with AAC in 320 kbps, which is as good as it's as good as it gets, but it's still not good. Like, let's face it, it's not good. So, and like for example, like the video I made for you, which people are going to watch very
Right.
soon, depending when they watch this.
Right.
This is AAC at 256 or 320 actually, and then of course, depending where you watch it, like YouTube will actually bring it down to 256, and then
Right.
like so Vimeo, it sounds a little better because they leave it as is. Like this, there's a lot of things, but I think a lot about that, and because of course I want to give as good a product as I can to the musicians who come. And so, I wish there was an option to have like higher resolution audio, if only like, even if it was AAC at 512 kbps, like it would make a huge difference quality wise,
Of course.
Now tell us a little bit about the group and how you got together. First of all, like, so you work, you're a mathematician, you work for the Magic as a mathematician, right? Like you do stats and things?
Yeah, yeah, data science.
So like, how did you come to play the instrument, and what instrument do you play, like for people who don't know, that kind of stuff?
Oh, you want to start with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So I think the story of the quartet, maybe like really succinctly, is like the stories of a lot of chamber ensembles of this kind, which is that we all know each other through very kind of like small world interconnected relationships of like, so I went to Michigan for euphonium performance. So that's the instrument I play in the quartet is euphonium. And Charlie was at Michigan with me for a year for his doctorate when I was an undergrad. And then Alex, the other euphonium player in our quartet, went to school with Charlie at the University of Georgia when Charlie was there for a master's degree, and Alex was there for an undergraduate degree. And then Alex and Keith, our other tuba player, went to school together at the University of Texas when Alex was getting a master's, and was Keith was also getting a master's degree. Yeah. So it's very much just like, oh, we've identified that we're kind of kindred spirits musically, artistically. Who else is like that? And then it's just like, okay, well, let's figure out kind of the best configuration of that possible, and kind of converged around this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of trying to find a group of people that not only I liked making music with and respect their musicianship, but also enjoy spending time with, which I think is always the balance for a chamber ensemble, because you end up spending a lot of time and making a lot of intense decisions together. And if it's people you don't get along with, it gets really old really quickly. So yeah, we've been lucky that we work really well together. Yeah, and maybe we should go into the sort of, especially a euphonium for some people, that might take further explanation.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure exactly at what point to begin, but once people are watching a video of our performance, visually it looks just like a small version of a tuba, and that is probably a good enough way for people to think about it.
So it sounds an octave higher than a tuba, right? Essentially.
Correct. Yeah, approximately. Yeah.
Essentially, depending what tuba you're talking about, but.
Right, exactly. So in our configuration, we have Charlie plays the contrabass tuba centered on C, and then Keith plays a bass tuba centered on the F above that, and then the two euphoniums are centered on the B flat above that. So a little bit of a range just to kind of get different tone colors and kind of different textures and capabilities. But yeah, that's the euphonium is not necessarily as well known because it's not in a standard orchestra, and it's probably most prominent in an ensemble setting in wind band and then in brass band, like British style brass band.
Well, it's also like it was invented in Europe, and it was popularized in Europe. Also, all of the conical instruments are very common, and all kinds of different ensembles are there that are more like even folk oriented. Like,
sure.
I played like Bavarian music with a euphonium player back in the early 80s. He was from Yugoslavia, and everybody plays a conical instrument, whatever range they play it at. They're all conical instruments. So it's interesting, maybe slightly different history, or the place in the society is a little bit different in Europe than it is in North America.
Right, like you're saying, like Balkan brass band is a common venue for the instrument, as well as I guess like to some degree, like some polka bands also, that kind of thing.
And it for people who don't know, like, you have to watch that video to realize how virtuosic the instrument can be.
That is a classic line of like to be an ambassador of the euphonium. It's like, well, please, like, realize that we have things to offer.
Right. No, it's a very like, I think the instrument speaks very well. Like, it's just like a well balanced instrument, which means that you can end up playing like tremendously difficult things on it, which you do very well.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, maybe to talk more about kind of our quartet and the people in it. One of the thoughts that we had just about the kind of musical space that we wanted to occupy. So like from our vantage point, there are a lot of well, not a lot, I guess there aren't that many prominent chamber ensembles of this configuration, 2 euphoniums and 2 tubas, that are making music at a high level. There are probably like 5 that are known nationally to some degree. Sure. Right. And a lot of them are, I don't even know, maybe you have better words to like frame like kind of like what they are and how we try to differentiate ourselves.
Yeah, sure. It's a little, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. I guess, I mean, maybe one of the easiest ways is just to start with kind of what we do. So I think all of us are interested in playing music that's sort of ambitious in the way of we hear other music that we enjoy as listeners, and then try to adapt that for what we do. So rather than, there's a lot of sort of tuba players composing for tuba quartets, right. Euphonium players composing for tuba quartets. We're very sort of like inward, it's kind of, we tend to play for one another. And the people that, the vast majority of people listening to an ensemble like this would be people that maybe play one of these instruments or a related instrument. And so we try to bring in just stuff that we're more interested in generally, great classical works, pop music, jazz, things like that. And the kind of key word we use is, or the key phrase is sort of reckless transcription. We're trying to bring in music as close as possible to kind of the original difficulty and the original virtuosity, and make it work. So kind of see what sticks. We adapt it where we need to, but we're kind of trying to raise the stakes a little bit instrumentally and musically by taking music that exists elsewhere and seeing if we can sort of use it ourselves and put our own stamp on it.
What I find fascinating about a lot of chamber formats or ensembles is that a lot of them kind of grew out of the educational system, meaning like the brass quintet, a classic example, kind of grew out of a need for faculties to perform. And so in a medium-sized school, you would have 2 trumpet professors, 1 horn, 1 trombone, and 1 tuba, right? And so you end up with this instrument. The string quartet, to a certain extent, I mean, it was the different context a little bit, but to a certain extent is a little bit the same. And then if you think about, wind quintet is the same thing, right? 1 of each, because that's what the faculty of and then, but homogeneous ensembles are different. Because like, so trombone quartet, you won't find a school with 4 trombone professors, and same thing with the 2, well, very few,
Yeah, of course.
And same thing with your ensemble, if you call it a tuba quartet, because that's not usually, it would be unusual to find a faculty with 2 euphoniums and 2 tuba professors. It just doesn't happen. Which means to me that these ensembles were born, or even a horn quartet, these ensembles were born either, like in the horn quartet's case, from the orchestra, right? So you end up with making a chamber ensemble out of the orchestra, or in your case, like for the pure love, like a trombone quartet, for the pure love of making music together with this ensemble. And of course, it just so happens to me, in my personal taste and opinion, like trombone quartet, horn quartet, and the tuba quartet are homogeneous ensembles. They sound, in my room, they sound the best, right? It's such a fulfilling experience to basically be in a room that is completely saturated with sound, the way that not maybe only, but almost only a tuba quartet can do. Like it's it's a very unique experience. Like, of course, people watching online won't get the full extent of the experience unless they have a tremendously good sound system and a good room to listen to them into. And even then, but still, it's an amazing experience to watch a group like yours perform. It's amazing. I love it.
Well, that's really kind. It's so gratifying to hear you talk about our medium that way, because I think, like, at least for me, I spend so much time thinking about, well, how can we maybe not sound like a tuba quartet, right? There are so many ways, at least within our community, that there are like kind of, I don't know if a trope is the right word, but they're just like very common ways for those groups to sound that are in some ways sometimes numbing and not inspiring. And I think we all, as a group, kind of think about, like, how can we kind of reach different colors in the palette and kind of try to diversify our sound. So to hear you say that is a good reminder that, there are good parts of this too.
Yeah, I think I like, with these kind of low brass instruments, the sound is very rich and very full, and so like weight and volume are things that we don't really need to work for, but finding lightness, finding clarity, playing stuff, thinking about so much of our program, but like particularly like the Sati, and the Chick Corea tunes and things like this, where it requires a lightness and a delicacy that it's a fun challenge for us to find something that's a little bit different color from the kind of fluffy, rich sounding kind of default setting for our ensemble.
Right. Well, which is what makes your group so fascinating to hear, is because, first of all, the sound that comes out to begin with, and then the things you play, and so like you play like piano music, string music, you play like, jazz and like bebop and like, it's pretty cool. So I hope that people get the chance to watch the video. So it's going to be on, let's see, Friday at 7:30 p.m., right? Eastern Daylight Time. And then, and then of course it's going to stay there on our Facebook page. So if you can't watch it right then and there, you can watch it at any time at a later point. But hopefully, like, we try to set it up a little bit so that we have people manning the comments and things a little bit, and people can kind of, on Facebook, it's easy to comment to one another and things, and it's nice to kind of feel the audience this way. It's obviously a very different feeling than feeling an audience in the same room, especially in a small room like ours here. But I know that it was well received by the audience, the people who were there. I wish that the house had been packed for the concert, but our chance to redeem ourselves is to make as many people as possible listen to this, because it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, even like we can jump on the stream as well and kind of like answer people's questions or interact with the audience as it happens. One of the benefits of the quarantine situation and like doing things like this is that like we have a chance to, it's like almost like live narrate our own performance.
I'm glad you're gonna participate. It's gonna be very enjoyable, and to anyone listening, catch this concert. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Hey, Benoit, we really appreciate the opportunity, and this is it was such a blast to play in your space, and the Timucua experience is one that is hard to approximate. So we're looking forward to trying to give like you were saying, like a unique experience over the broadcast and everything. And I just wanted to say thanks for everything.
Thank you so much, guys. Charlie, Ryan, for spending time with us and talking to us. And then, everybody catch the video. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks.